The luxurious hum of the first-class cabin was a stark contrast to the tension that was about to unfold. Plush leather seats, ambient lighting, and the soft clinking of glasses set the stage for an encounter that would shake the aviation industry to its core. Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur, had boarded Flight 702 from New York to San Francisco discreetly, as he often did. Dressed in a simple black t-shirt and jeans, he didn't look like the world's richest man. He preferred it that way. Flying commercial wasn't a necessity for him, but sometimes it was a refreshing break from the constant bubble of private jets and security details. As he settled into his first-class seat, a flight attendant named Olivia Parker strode down the aisle, her sharp uniform pristine, her demeanor laced with an air of superiority. She had worked in the airline industry for over a decade and had a firm belief in a certain class hierarchy. To her, first class wasn't just about luxury, it was about exclusivity. She stopped next to Musk's seat, her eyes narrowing as she glanced at him. Something about the way he dressed, the lack of an entourage, made her assume he didn't belong. Olivia Parker. "Excuse me, sir. This section is for first-class passengers only. Economy seating is in the back." Elon Musk looked up from his phone, raising an eyebrow but remaining calm. "I know." Olivia wasn't convinced. She placed her hands on her hips, a condescending smirk forming on her lips. "Olivia Parker, I'm going to need to see your boarding pass." Passengers nearby began to take notice. Some stole glances over their newspapers while others exchanged whispers. A few even recognized Musk but remained silent, watching the scene unfold with curiosity. With a measured sigh, Musk reached into his pocket and pulled out his first-class ticket, handing it to Olivia. She snatched it, glancing at the name before. Her face paled slightly, but instead of backing down, she doubled down. Olivia Parker, muttering, "This must be a mistake." Then, louder, "Did you purchase this ticket yourself?" Musk's lips twitched in amusement. "No, I stole it from another billionaire on the way in." A few passengers chuckled, but Olivia wasn't laughing. Her face hardened. Olivia Parker. "Sir, I need you to step aside while I verify this with my supervisor." Musk leaned back in his seat, unfazed. "Go ahead." Olivia turned sharply on her heel, marching toward the front of the cabin. But before she reached the service area, she made a choice that would change everything. She pressed the call button for security. Murmurs rippled through the cabin. A man in the row behind Musk leaned forward. "Passenger, you're Elon Musk, aren't you?" Musk sighed, nodding slightly. "Last I checked." The murmurs grew louder. A young woman across the aisle pulled out her phone, discreetly recording. Another passenger whispered, "Passenger, she's about to make a huge mistake." And then, the unthinkable happened. Olivia returned, flanked by two uniformed airline security officers. Olivia Parker. "Sir, you need to come with us, now." A tense silence gripped the cabin. Musk didn't move. He met Olivia's gaze steadily, then glanced at the security officers. Elon Musk. "On what grounds?" Olivia Parker smirked, crossing her arms. "I don't think you belong here." Thiru, words hung in the air like a guillotine, and for a moment time seemed to stand still. The next few minutes would change everything, and what happened next would shock everyone watching. The murmurs among the passengers grew louder as the security officers loomed over Musk, their expressions unreadable. Olivia stood smugly beside them, arms crossed, as if she had already won. Security. "Officer 1, sir, please step out of your seat." Elon Musk remained calm, locking eyes with the officer. "I asked earlier, on what grounds?" Olivia scoffed, cutting in before the officers could answer. "Sir, you are causing a disturbance. First-class passengers are uncomfortable with your presence." A man from across the aisle interjected. "That's not true. We're watching. You harass him." Olivia shot him a glare but ignored his comment. The officer shifted uncomfortably. "We were called to remove an unauthorized passenger." Musk sighed, rubbing his temples. "Do you know who I am?" Olivia Parker. Oh, please, the whole "do you know who I am" card. Everyone's someone these days. Musk smirked slightly, glancing at the passengers now filming. You might regret saying that. Passengers began whispering again, some fully recognizing who Musk was. The officer hesitated before stepping back slightly. Security Officer 2, whispering to the first officer. I think we should verify his identity before making a scene. But Olivia was relentless. I already told you he doesn't belong here. First class is for premium travelers, not... She trailed off, leaving her implications hanging in the air. Elon Musk exhaled slowly. So what exactly do you think I do for a living? Olivia Parker scoffed. You look like someone who snuck in, maybe a tech worker trying to fake his way into luxury. At this, Musk chuckled. Well, you're half right. I do work in tech. The first officer's expression changed as he suddenly seemed to connect the dots. Wait a minute, are you... But before he could finish his sentence, Olivia turned to the officer and snapped. It doesn't matter who he claims to be. Rules are rules. Passengers were now actively protesting. Passenger. You're about to kick out Elon Musk, are you serious? Musk watched Olivia's face contort as the realization sank in, but she wasn't ready to back down. Instead, she doubled down. I don't care who he is. If he can't provide immediate proof that he belongs here, he needs to leave. The power struggle was in full force, but the truth was about to unravel in the most unexpected way. The tension in the cabin thickened as the two uniformed security officers flanked Elon Musk's seat. Whispers among the first-class passengers grew louder, but no one dared to interfere. Not yet. Security Officer number 1. Sir, we're going to have to ask you to come with us. Elon Musk folded his arms, his expression calm but firm. And if I refuse, Olivia Parker interjected, her voice dripping with authority. Then we'll have no choice but to forcibly remove you. Musk sighed, shaking his head slightly. You do realize I have a valid ticket, right? Olivia Parker crossed her arms. That remains to be seen. Passengers gasped. A man too rose back, scoffed audibly. This is absurd. Security Officer 2 stepped closer, his posture stiff. Sir, we don't want this to escalate. Let's not make a scene. Musk tilted his head slightly. You're already making a scene. Olivia Parker smirked. I gave you a chance. You should have just cooperated. Then, without warning, she reached for Musk's arm, her grip tight and unrelenting. The billionaire's expression remained unchanged, but his patience was wearing thin. A collective gasp filled the cabin. A woman in the row across fumbled with her phone, recording every moment. Another passenger leaned forward, whispering to his seatmate. Passenger, is she out of her mind? Elon Musk's voice was low but unwavering. I suggest you let go. But Olivia didn't. Instead, she tightened her grip. Olivia Parker, you don't belong here, and I'll make sure you regret trying. The words carried a venomous edge laced with arrogance. But before she could go any further, another voice cut through the tension. Pilot, over intercom. This is your captain speaking. We've been made aware of an incident in the first-class cabin. We ask that all crew members and passengers remain in their seats while we assess the situation. Olivia stiffened. The security officers exchanged uncertain glances. The captain's voice had put a sudden halt to her authority. Musk exhaled slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. Now, shall we try this again? The power dynamics had begun to shift, and everyone in that cabin could feel it. Musk remained seated, his expression unreadable. The security officers exchanged glances, hesitating. Passengers whispered amongst themselves, some shaking their heads in disbelief. Security Officer number 1. Sir, we need to escort you off the flight. Elon Musk exhaled slowly. And if I refuse? Olivia Parker scoffed. Then we'll have no choice but to remove you by force. I'll personally ensure you're banned from this airline for life. Passengers gasped. Some had their phones out recording. The cabin had turned into a stage and the spectacle was unfolding in real time. Passenger. This isn't right. A man in a tailored business suit stood up, clearing his throat. I don't mean to interfere, but you do realize who you're talking to? Olivia Parker rolled her eyes. I don't care who he is. If he doesn't leave, he'll be arrested when we land. The businessman shook his head in disbelief. Meanwhile, the second security officer hesitated. He leaned toward his colleague, whispering, we should verify this could go viral, but Olivia was too far gone. She grabbed Musk's arm forcefully. I said, get up. A collective gasp rippled through the cabin. The grip wasn't just firm, it was aggressive. Musk, still eerily calm, slowly looked down at her hand on his arm, then back up at her. His expression didn't change, but something in the air did. The businessman, now growing more concerned, spoke louder. Miss, I'd reconsider that. Olivia, still gripping Musk's arm, turned sharply. And who exactly are you to tell me what to do? The businessman smirked, pulling out his phone. Someone who has just texted my legal team. A hush fell over the cabin. The security officers now looked nervous. One even took a step back. Passengers murmured in disbelief, many already uploading their videos to social media. And then, with a slow, deliberate motion, Musk finally moved. Not to stand, but to pull his own phone out. He tapped the screen once, and almost instantly, Olivia's personal phone tucked into her pocket began vibrating. She frowned, instinctively pulling it out. The screen flashed with a notification. Her face went pale, her hands started to shake, and in that moment she realized she had made the biggest mistake of her life. The security officers hesitated. They had been called in to remove a trespasser, but now they found themselves staring at a man who looked vaguely familiar. The murmurs among the passengers grew louder. One of the officers, a middle-aged man with a stern expression, pulled out his tablet and quickly scanned Musk's boarding pass. His eyes widened as he tapped a few more times on the screen. Then, he turned to Olivia. Security officer. Miss Parker, we have a problem. Olivia Parker frowned. What do you mean? The officer hesitated, then turned the screen toward her. This passenger isn't just first class, he's the airline's biggest investor. A collective gasp rippled through the cabin. Olivia's face drained of color. Passenger. Wait, what? Elon Musk owns part of this airline? Musk smirked slightly but remained silent, letting the revelation sink in. Olivia stumbled over her words. Olivia Parker. That can't be right. I mean, I just... The officer cleared his throat. Not only does Mr. Musk have the right to be here, but technically, he could have you removed instead. The weight of his words hit Olivia like a truck. She swallowed hard, her confidence crumbling. Musk finally spoke, his tone calm but firm. So tell me, Olivia, do you still think I don't belong here? Passengers whispered excitedly, and some even started recording the moment. Olivia looked around, realizing that she had made a career-ending mistake. Her authority had crumbled in an instant, and the very people she had tried to impress were now judging her. The officer turned to Musk. Sir, would you like to file a formal complaint? Musk paused, considering his options. Then, with a small shrug, he replied, No, I think she's already learned her lesson. But this was just the beginning. The fallout from this incident would be far worse than Olivia could have imagined. The silence was deafening. The first-class cabin had become a stage, and everyone was watching. Just as the security officers took a step closer, a man in a sharp business suit in the row ahead stood up. Passenger, CEO of an airline company. Excuse me, but do you even know who you're talking to? Olivia hesitated, her confidence wavering for the first time. Olivia Parker. Sir, this is none of your concern. The businessman scoffed, shaking his head. Passenger, CEO. Actually, it is. That man you're harassing is Elon Musk, one of the most influential people in the world. You're about to lose your job over this stunt. The tension in the air thickened. Olivia's face turned pale, but she still clung to her authority. Olivia Parker. I don't care who he is. He doesn't look like he belongs in first class. Elon Musk finally spoke, his tone still calm but now edged with quiet authority. "And what exactly does someone who belongs in first class look like?" The question sent a ripple through the audience. A murmur of agreement spread among the passengers. A woman across the aisle, an attorney, leaned forward. Attorney passenger. "Ms. Parker, you're profiling a passenger based on appearance. That's discrimination and it's illegal." The security officers, realizing the weight of the situation, hesitated. "Security officer, Miss Parker, are you sure about this?" A flicker of panic crossed Olivia's face, but she wasn't ready to surrender. "Olivia Parker, I was just following protocol." The businessman smirked. "Passenger CEO. No, you were following your bias, and now you've embarrassed this airline in front of dozens of witnesses, many of whom are recording." The phones, discreetly held by several passengers, caught her eye. The realization hit. This wasn't just an internal issue anymore. This was about to go viral. Elon Musk leaned back in his seat, a knowing smile playing on his lips. "I'd like to stay in my seat now. Unless, of course, you want to make this situation worse for yourself." For the first time, Olivia had no response. Her authority was slipping, and she knew it. But she wasn't done fighting just yet. A hush fell over the cabin as the security officers hesitated, glancing at one another. It was clear they weren't entirely sure how to proceed. Olivia, however, stood firm, her arms crossed, her expression unyielding. Elon Musk leaned forward slightly, his voice calm yet commanding. "I'd like to speak to the captain before any decisions are made," Olivia Parker scoffed. "The captain has more important things to do than deal with a passenger who doesn't belong." Passengers stirred in their seats. A man in a business suit frowned. "Actually, I think we all know who he is." A woman in the front row nodded. "Yeah, he literally owns multiple space companies. Are we really going to act like he doesn't belong in first class?" The tension thickened as Musk turned toward the security officers. "Gentlemen, do you have a legitimate reason to remove me from my paid seat? If so, I'd love to hear it." The officers hesitated. One of them, a younger man with a nervous expression, cleared his throat. "Sir, we were told there was an issue with your ticket." Musk tilted his head. "By whom?" Olivia's face darkened. "I am the senior flight attendant on this flight. My word is final." A murmur rippled through the cabin. More passengers were now filming, and the murmurs had turned into outright comments. Passenger. "She's seriously doubling down on this?" Passenger. "She's making a huge mistake." Musk sighed, shaking his head. "Final, you say? Interesting, because I have a feeling your airline's CEO might not agree." He pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and held it up. The screen showed an active call. Musk. "Hey, Peter, quick question. Does your airline normally remove paying customers from first class based on an employee's personal bias?" The silence in the cabin was deafening. Olivia's face drained of color. The security officers exchanged glances, suddenly looking unsure. Peter, airline CEO, over the phone. "Elon, what the hell is going on?" Musk. "Your flight attendant seems to believe I don't belong in first class." A loud exhale came from the phone. Peter. "Put her on." Olivia's hands shook as she took the phone. Her voice wavered. "Sir, I was just enforcing policy." Peter. "By harassing Elon Musk? Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Passengers watched as Olivia's face crumbled. She stammered, but it was clear she had lost control of the situation. Musk leaned back, arms crossed. "Looks like I'll be staying in my seat after all." The entire first-class cabin was now fully alert, their eyes bouncing between Musk, Olivia, and the two security officers standing beside her. Whispers had turned into full-blown murmurs, with passengers openly questioning what was happening. Then, the unexpected occurred. One of the security officers leaned in, glancing at Musk before turning to Olivia. Security officer. "Ma'am, are you aware of who this is?" Olivia Parker scoffed. "I don't care who he is. He doesn't belong here." Before the officer could reply, A deep, authoritative voice cut through the tension. "Captain Reynolds, I believe there's been a mistake." The captain of the flight, a seasoned pilot with decades of experience, stepped into the scene. He had been alerted to the commotion and wasn't pleased. Captain Reynolds, sternly, "Mr. Musk is not only a legitimate first-class passenger, but he's also a valued client of our airline." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Olivia's face went pale as she stammered, trying to recover. Olivia Parker. But he doesn't look." The captain held up a hand, silencing her. "Enough." He turned to Musk. "Mr. Musk, I sincerely apologize for this unacceptable behavior. Please rest assured that appropriate action will be taken." Musk simply nodded, his expression unreadable. But then he spoke, his voice carrying weight. "Elon Musk, I'm not looking for an apology. I'm looking for accountability." The captain nodded. "Understood." He turned to the security officers. "Escort Ms. Parker off this flight immediately." Olivia Parker's eyes widened in horror. "Wait, no, you can't do this. I was just following policy." Captain Reynolds. "No, you were making assumptions and mistreating a passenger based on nothing but personal bias." The security officers didn't hesitate. One gently took Olivia by the arm, while the other gathered her belongings. She struggled briefly before realizing there was no way out. As she was led away, whispers and quiet cheers echoed through the cabin. Passengers gave approving nods, some even clapping softly. The young woman who had been recording grinned, already, typing up a viral tweet. Meanwhile, Musk leaned back in his seat, pulling out his phone as if nothing had happened. But before he did, he turned to the captain. "Elon Musk, thanks for handling this. I appreciate competence." The captain smiled. "Always, sir." With that, peace returned to first class, but the internet was about to erupt with what had just transpired. The video of the incident spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with outrage. Within hours, the hashtag #ChewFireOliviaParker trended worldwide, with millions condemning her blatant misuse of power. The airline's PR team scrambled to contain the damage, but the gravity of the situation was too overwhelming. Passengers from that flight began sharing their first-hand accounts, confirming that Olivia had targeted Elon Musk without justification. By the next morning, the airline CEO issued an official statement. "Airline CEO, we sincerely apologize for the treatment Mr. Musk endured aboard our flight. The behavior of our staff does not reflect our company values. Effective immediately, the flight attendant in question has been terminated." The internet rejoiced. Memes flooded the web, with captions like "She tried to throw out the man who could buy the whole airline." Meanwhile, Olivia Parker found herself at the center of a media firestorm. Reporters camped outside her home and news anchors dissected every second of the viral footage. Her name was forever linked to one of the worst customer service blunders in aviation history. Olivia Parker, in a shaky voice during an interview, I didn't know it was him. I was just doing my job." But it was too late. As for Musk, he remained characteristically unfazed. When asked about the incident during a press conference, he simply shrugged. "Elon Musk, mistakes happen, but it's a good reminder. Never judge someone by how they dress." With that, the world moved on. But for Olivia Parker, the fallout was permanent. Her once promising career in aviation had crash-landed, all because of one moment of arrogance. Justice had been served. The news had spread like wildfire. Video clips of the incident had been shared millions of times within hours, sparking outrage and discussions about classism, prejudice, and abuse of power in the airline industry. Elon Musk, in his usual nonchalant manner, had simply responded with a tweet. "Never judge a book by its cover. Also, maybe don't assault your passengers, just a thought." But for Olivia Parker, the fallout was devastating. The airline had issued a public apology and placed her on indefinite leave while an internal investigation was conducted. Her once untouchable confidence had crumbled under the weight of public scrutiny. Sitting in her apartment, scrolling through thousands of angry comments, she felt an unfamiliar emotion: regret. She had built her career on enforcing the rules of high society, but now she was the one on the outside looking in. Meanwhile, Musk had moved on. His life was a whirlwind of innovation, projects, and interplanetary ambitions. But the incident had left an imprint, a reminder that even in the modern world, power was often perceived rather than truly understood. On his next flight, he flew first class again. This time, the flight attendants greeted him with polite smiles, careful not to make any assumptions. A man across the aisle leaned in. "So, Mr. Musk, do you ever get tired of proving people wrong?" Musk smirked, taking a sip of his drink. "Nah, it keeps things interesting." As the plane soared through the clouds, it wasn't just another flight. It was a reminder, one that the world would remember for a long time.